Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Ether Hub. I'm Simon, bringing you more Magic the Gathering story time. As you know, we have returned to the plane of Innistrad as it struggles under a constant moon. The vampire elites have taken this opportunity to consolidate their power as one Olivia Voldaren positions herself as the new Lord of Innistrad. Her fangs were the first to secure the Eternal Night on Innistrad by interrupting the Harvesttide Festival, and now she prepares to wed herself to Edgar Markov, ensuring an endless Voldaren rule. Sorin, a powerful vampire planeswalker and grandson of Edgar, witnesses as Olivia completes the ritual to awaken and overwhelmingly charm the Elder Markov, leaving Sorin alone in a ballroom full of enemies. The atrocities Olivia has committed, the embarrassment she has put him through, it's all reached a fever pitch, and this celebration of love is about to turn ugly. But Olivia looks to save this momentous event, seal their union with one very special gift. This is Chapter 7 of Crimson Vows story written by Arsenault Rivera, A Gift for the Groom. And remember guys, this is another edition of Friday Night Lore, so as you sling your spells and listen to the story, make sure to stay till the end to find out this week's flavorful giveaway and how you can enter for your chance to win. Don't forget to show your support for our content here by liking, subscribing, and sharing the video. It really goes a long way in helping us continue FNL. Now, let's get back to the lore. Stained glass windows aren't made overnight. To make them, you must first decide what you are making and how to make it. That alone can take the better part of months, particularly if the glazier and an artist are working together. Broad shapes and silhouettes are taken into consideration, but so too are the smaller shards tucked here and there to dazzle the eye. How many feathers upon the wings of an angel? How many scales upon the head of a serpent? How many fangs gleaming in treacherous light? The larger picture, the details. You must have all of them laid out before you. You must understand what you are going to make before you've even begun. Then, you must begin it. Here, there are also long hours, long weeks, long months. Each feather, each scale, each fang must come from a new piece of glass colored specifically for the purpose. You'll use a blazing hot iron to cut the pieces apart, hoping as you go that no piece cracks before it's time. One by one, piece by piece, you and your underlings willing your lives away. Even when you have all the pieces cut, perfectly rounded, sheared to size, shard by shard, you are not yet done. Stained glass is too weak to stand alone. You must join the parts, which then cohere into a whole. Break the beautiful work you've made into panels, feathers, scales, fangs, all in their own spaces. Mount these onto iron, and at last, you've created your work. If you are lucky, it will last a few centuries before someone flings an angel through it. Sorin's seen many stained glass windows in his time. He's commissioned a few himself. The process always fascinated him. Like architecture, its frequent companion, it's the work of centuries, something only he and others like him are positioned to appreciate. It is not the first time he has seen the window before him, but in this hanging raindrop moment, he has the time to appreciate it. At its apex is Olivia Voldaren, smiling with glee, two tipped goblets of blood acting as the frame for the rest of the window. How long had it taken to complete this monument to Olivia's ego? How many arduous hours were spent shaping every curve of her lips, every jewel, every eyelash? Where the other families take opportunities like this to highlight their scions, Olivia seizes the lion's share of attention for herself. Oh, there are others sprinkled here and there, feather, scale, and tooth, but she reigns supreme throughout. From her presence at the top of her portrait in the center, to her standing now at the base of the window, arm in arm with Edgar Markov. They made an achingly regal picture. She with her train of sorrowful spirits, he in his wedding finery. He realizes, looking at them, that these are details. His gathered relatives looking on him with indifference, the wedding guests as thirsty for drama as they are for blood, his plundered grandfather. One thing has led to the other, one panel into the next. Vampires run rampant. He creates the angel perishes. He is humiliated. Olivia fills the void of power he's left behind. As she sips from a chalice of blood, as she points to him with a smirk on her lip, her eyes seem to say that it could have been anything. Any sign of weakness would have been enough. Any disaster befalling Innistrad would have opened enough space for her. The woman sought power the way plants sought light. The larger picture of Olivia's life has always marched towards this. Welcome, welcome! Oh, it's such a delight to have so many guests. I simply couldn't have a wedding without the groom side empty. It'd be such a faux pas. The way his grandfather doggedly pats her hand makes him want to scream. Edgar Markov hardly had words for his first wife when they were alive, that he would show such kindness to this woman. A chorus of polite laughter from his extended family. They do not look at him, but he feels their derision all the same, like daggers at his throat. Now, I'm sure you're all honored to be here and dying to get to the main event, but I hope you'll forgive me. I have a little something else planned first. A little amuse-bouche, if you will, and a present for my dear Edgar. Thralls! She snaps her fingers. At first, he thinks nothing is happening. A small flicker of hope shines somewhere within him that her thralls have finally turned against her. But she extinguishes this too as easily as breathing. Catching his eye, she points upward. The chandelier? A work of art no less impressive than the stained glass, but what was so special about it? From the look on her face, whatever she had in store was... There is something else lashed to the ceiling of the grand hall. Something sinks lower, draped in rich red curtains. The shape reminds him of a birdcage, and he wonders if she's made someone stitch her an abomination as a gift. Given her predilection for torturing the faithful, she might have torn the wings from an angel and attached them to a choir singer. Behold, a songbird. But as the birdcage descends, a familiar scent comes to him. Angel blood. With it comes a memory. His grandfather, Markov Manor, a gathered crowd of his family and their closest confidants. A fear that gripped him by the spine, the weight of expectations like stocks across his shoulders. His grandfather looking on him with pride, a cup in his hands filled with blood. Drink and be eternal. He didn't want to drink. The wretched smell of the stuff stained his palate with copper. And there was the angel, too, chained upside down like a bird. That day, years ago, centuries, she was still writhing. Her eyes meet Sorin's not long after his grandfather's. Her plea, just as impassioned, do not drink. Save me. Time has washed away much of his memory, but her whimpering, the smell of her blood, the look on her face as his grandfather forced him to drink, these things stand like mountains against the ceaseless tides. He knows what he's going to see before the curtains drop to the floor. He does not avert his eyes. There is no cage save Sigarda's own wings, bloodied and battered, pressed so tight against her that she cannot move. Red ribbons serve to bind her instead, a mockery of her considerable strength. She does not hang upside down, but she is no more comfortable than her predecessor had been. However powerful the magic, it is difficult to stamp out an angel's spirit. He had learned this firsthand. Sigarda's struggling still, and when she looks to him from within her feathered prison, it is with the same pleading look he remembered. A new face does not dull its blade. His chest aches. His tongue sticks to the roof of his mouth. Drink and be eternal, his grandfather had said. But was this what they've been striving for all these years? To repeat history? Another thought follows. Olivia can't have brought Sigarda here solely to serve as a gift. The blood dripping from the angel's wounds calls to him. He knows it calls to them too. He knows his grandfather is also a talented blood mage. Sorin's sorting through the possibilities faster than he can consciously follow, his instincts afire for his waking mind. If a ritual like this one was enough to convert his immediate family to vampirism, then this one, well, it was simple, wasn't it? If you controlled a man's blood, you controlled him. If you controlled an angel's blood, you controlled her. Granted, you'd have to be an elder vampire to handle that much power, but if you drank that blood, made it a part of you, then you might well control angels too, assuming you lived. The idea is a simple one. To put it into practice, less so. Sigarda, being one of the oldest angels, did much to help, but they'd need something else, something to bind the blood to its drinkers, something just as old and just as powerful. Ideally crafted of moon silver. He's never found a finer vessel for magical energy, even Eldrazi weren't immune. Something like the moon silver key Arlen and the others were looking for. The moon silver key Olivia now held in her hands, looking for all the world like an offering bowl. The sun gold lock was much the same. Together, the two formed a sphere. Sorin watches in horror as his grandfather joins his hands to hers. Together, they hold the key to domination. Olivia Voldaren with control over all the angels in Innistrad. Eternal night hardly mattered in comparison. Innistrad could endure much, but it could not endure this. Anger and fear seize him. He fights against his restraints, but the chains only dig in deeper against his flesh. A fell procession of vampires dressed as Abyssinian priests approach. One, his high hat, marking him as Lunarch, takes his place behind the couple. Must everything here be an insult to him? Again, the eyes of the crowd are upon him. Again, they point to him. Again, they watch to see what he'll do. "Drink and be eternal," his grandfather said to him, as if he had any choice in the matter, as if he wanted to be eternal. "If you continue to decline our invitations, Sorin, we're going to stop sending them," wrote one of his aunts, as if her soirees were the most important thing in the multiverse. "Has it ever occurred to you that you're no fun at all?" This from an uncle years ago. An uncle he sees now flanked by two women while he bleeds a slender young thrall. He laps at the blood like a cat lapping at milk. This is what he thinks of as fun. There is an angel hanging from the ceiling, and that man can only think of passing pleasures. Torments upon torments. Olivia hands the false priest a piece of vellum. He has the audacity to read it in a ready, mocking voice. "Beloved guests, you have come here today to participate in the most sacred ritual on Innistrad. It is said that herons mate for life. For those, such as we, eternal and unchanging, such a promise reaches beyond mortal understanding. The lady of our most illustrious house, Olivia Voldaren, has pledged her heart to Edgar Markov, and he, his undying affections to her. I understand Sorin Markov has brought his grandfather here to be married?" "I've done no such thing," Sorin protests, struggling again. The guards yank him backward. Worse, the crowd laughs. "Don't mind the boy," says Edgar. "You know how he is at parties." "No sense for hospitality," echoes Olivia. The priest smirks. "Very well, now, the two of you can speak your vows to one another if you've prepared them." He doesn't ask who will go first. Olivia speaks the very moment his tongue rests. "Edgar, darling Edgar, we met so many centuries ago, I've long forgotten the occasion. But I remember the moment I realized we should be together like it was yesterday. Sorin left your coffin unguarded, and I thought to myself, what a fool to leave a man like that unattended. You're in my care now, and together we'll rule Innistrad. I promise I'll always consider your opinions for at least a moment before rejecting them, Edgar. I promise to overlook your sartorial missteps, and I promise to grant you the honor of being my husband. Thank you, most illustrious Lady Voldaren. Those vows brought tears to my eyes," says the priest, who has likely not cried in centuries. "Lord Markov, Your vows? Sorin snarls, the guards restraining him advance in lockstep. Momentum alone carries him closer to the altar. As one, they fling him upon the steps. He lands like a Thraben beggar upon the marble. There are only 2 chains now, one pulling his shoulders backward out of their sockets and binding together his arms, and another coiled around his throat. He forces himself to his feet. The chain threatens to crush his windpipe. No matter. He'd endure that. He'll endure anything if it means he can tear Olivia Voldaren's head from her body. To see her smiling down on him like this, thousands of years ago, Edgar Markov made the most important decision of Sorin's life for him. Tonight, Sorin repays the favor. Woodcutter, blacksmith, werewolf, vampire, angel. Blood is blood. He calls to the darkness in the bowl, and it answers to him. A blade of red-black slices through the chains as easily as any sword. Momentum sends the bowl tumbling out of their joined hands. Blood stains his shirt, his skin, his hands, but he stands unyielding before them. I object. Sorin, says Olivia, baring her fangs, you're ruining my special day. And there you guys go, Chapter 7 of Crimson Vows story. Outside of learning the painstaking process of creating a stained glass window and Sorin's apparent fascination by them, this story really opened up a lot of other questions to previous stories. Like, back in Midnight Hunt, Sigarda and Sorin randomly got into a fight because Sigarda wanted to learn more about Avacyn. We never got a clear picture of that encounter's outcome, and Sorin here only mentions the cuts left on her from their battle, but outside of that has no idea how Olivia captured her, which is kind of odd to say the least. But it's also clear why Olivia has gone through this effort in the first place. An angel's blood is super powerful. It's what gave them vampirism in the first place. And Sorin fears that her drinking Sigarda's blood, the blood of an archangel, could give her control over all angels on Innistrad, which would prove a most useful wedding gift in her pursuit of ultimate power. Sorin cannot let this come to pass. But how will he free the angel? And how will Sigarda treat Sorin, who just days ago fought against her? We will surely learn more in our next chapter. Now guys, let's move on to the after party, Friday Night Lore, and the card you have a chance at winning. On a story so focused on the struggles between Sorin and Olivia, it only feels right that while last week's FNL prize was Sorin, this week's should be Olivia Voldaren, more specifically, her newest printing from Crimson Vow, Olivia Crimson Bride. For your chance to bring this bride home with you, all you need to do is leave a like on this video, be a subscriber to the channel, and leave a comment. It can be any comment, and the winner is chosen at random. But let's play a little game, and why not you guys leave a comment regarding the relationship, or rather rivalry, between Sorin and Olivia. As I said, in the following video, a random comment will be selected and I'll announce the winner. Easy peasy. And that's Friday Night Lore. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. It's been amazing to see all the outpour of support in our recent videos, and it's really gotten me back into the passion of content creation. All I can ask is that if you do like the content, to please support the channel's growth. We are nearing that coveted 100,000 subscriber mark, and that's been my YouTube dream for a long time now. So if you want to help, consider subscribing and sharing this video online with others. As always, thank you all so much again, and until next time, see ya!